Alright, and what is good, everybody? Quancredible here to bring you a really interesting video topic that I was thinking about the other day, and at least me myself, I haven't seen anybody talk about it, so I thought it would be cool to bring up. And this is, what if Patri never reincarnated inside of William, or what if he reincarnated inside of somebody else? Would the whole elf resurrection arc even go the same? Would Black Clover even be where it is? Because honestly, after thinking about it, after rereading a lot of the key moments with William and Patri, I believe that the beginning of the story is still mostly the same, but it branches at the point of Julius's fight with Patri, and I basically broke it down into three different like sections, or three different pathways that I feel like the story would go. And then just to reiterate, this is if Patri was a completely different person, not reincarnated in William, and William was his own person, not having Patri inside of him. And like the beginning and the pre-story to Black Clover would mostly be the exact same. Julius would still find William, William would still dedicate his grimoire to Julius's service, him and Yami would still have their interactions, William would probably still be just as weird as he already was. Even if you take it into where the main characters, Austin, pop into the story, William would, of course, still raise his hand for, since his goals to make the strongest squad for the sake of Julius would be the same. Because even though he was making the Golden Dons for Patri as well, just to grab a bunch of elf-compatible people, he was also grabbing the strongest people he could, people he felt like, as William said himself, people that he felt his mana was drawn to. So he would still more than likely have a squad of all nobles or all extremely powerful mages just for the sake of Julius. So like I said, that would be the same. One key difference in the very beginning of the story is William would have been there at the star ceremony. If you remember, after they completed the dungeon, the very first dungeon where Mars was, there was a ceremony where Julius was awarding stars. It is customary for the captains, according to Nozel, it is customary for captains to attend when their squad members receive stars at such a ceremony, but William and Yami wasn't there. Yami already said he was out gambling, but William just wasn't. So I believe William would be there, and William being there doesn't really change the events of that ceremony much at all. I do believe that William would be able to draw in the Golden Dawn members that attacked Asta in the beginning. I believe it was Sandler or whatever his name was, I forget, the sand guy. He attacked Asta first. But even if William was there to, calm everybody down and make sure that they don't act like that, I do believe Solid would still have attacked Asta just in place of him. So pretty much those events wouldn't have changed. The capital attack would have pretty much still happened. Fuegoleon would have still definitely led the charge, and they all would have got caught in Valto's spatial magic and made it back. The only main change here would be how Patri gets a sneak attack on Fuegoleon. In the anime, they showed him seeing William, and then Patri uses that opportunity to turn into himself and then cut his arm off. But even if Patri wasn't William, he could still, Fuegoleon just entered this portal, he could still easily have a way to get the jump on him, or even at the very least, he does still have access to the three members of the Third Eye and himself. He has a number of different ways he could take out Fuegoleon in this portal. So I mean, I don't really see that being any different if William and Patri were separate. The only main difference, I think, though, is William is a better healer than Mimosa is. So once Fuegoleon is out of the portal, his immediate first aid would have been much better than it would have been. So with that, even if he wasn't in a coma, the Crimson Lions, or the Crimson Lions would still need a new squad captain, so Merleona would more than likely still have to take place as that. So the story really doesn't change that much in that regard. And then another big difference from the same exact thing is where Patri's first encounter with Julius happened a little bit after this, where Asta was captured and then Julius was able to get him back. If a lot of you remember, Patri was wounded in this encounter. He was able to escape though. Like, he showed up to save his members, and Julius shot an attack at him, and it did hit him, but he did escape. So that still happens. And then after that, they have their captain meeting about who it could possibly be. Except this time, there's no like shade around William or anything, since Gildrade did in fact betray them on that one. He did sell out the barrier mage, so that William wasn't really involved in that at all. And after that, I do believe that Julius would still ask Yami to go to the Underwater Sea Temple, and then all those events still would play out the exact same in my opinion. Nothing too different, since Patri or William wasn't really involved. One slight difference I do believe is after the Underwater Sea Temple, when the Diamond Kingdom is attacking that village on the outskirts of the Clover Kingdom, I believe that Julius would still ask Yami to go and help, and Yami, instead of being suspicious of William at this point, I believe that Yami would just more or less connect with William about the overall situation. Like, I feel like they would have more of a heart-to-heart, and then they would get closer through that, instead of Yami kind of just trying to see if he was Patri at that time in the actual story. I think they would have used that moment to connect more instead. And then from there, like I said, story goes the same with the Witch's Forest and all that other stuff. Star Festival, all that the exact same. Then there's the Royal Knights. That would be like the next biggest event after that. I don't think that William would join the Royal Knights, because if you remember, Marileona, Nozel, and Rill were the 3 captains that joined the Royal Knights. William wouldn't, just because, I mean, he doesn't really have any motivation to. I do think, however, with the events revolving Langris and Finral, I do think he would still invite Yami to his hideout to apologize, and I think they would talk there. And then I think while that was happening, Patri and Julius fight. So the Julius and Patri fight is where the story for this what if scenario would definitely start to branch off. I'm just gonna go like all the way through one before I go into the other one. So the first scenario is Julius is standing outside of the castle where he is, just overlooking the Clover Kingdom or whatever, and Patri shows up and they fight. However, in this fight, I believe that it would go very different. Julius would still have a hard time landing blows on Patri, but he would be much more serious in fighting him, just because it isn't William. It is just a random terrorist person to him, so he would be more after the kill than the capture, so he would have more of a reason to use lethal force. Since, I mean, when he knew it was William, he wasn't even trying to damage the body, he was just trying to just capture it normal. In this scenario, Patri does still target the citizens, but just he targets them much faster, because I believe he would be actually getting hit by Julius's spells. Julius would still have a hard time landing fatal blows, just because Patri was faster than him. Julius still could not actually catch him, so I doubt that. I have no reason to believe that Julius's attacks are much faster than his capturing. I mean, that's just me personally. If you disagree, that's fine, but this is just one of the what if scenarios. So in this one, I believe that, like I said, Patri still targets the citizens, but he gets heavily damaged in his fight with Julius. And then William and Yami would both be arriving, or William and Yami would both leave the Golden Dawn's base. They would both get to Julius at the same time, because they would more than likely leave together. William would try to heal Yami, but it would be too late, and Patri would still get away. From here, the invasion still commences as normal. Yami and William both kind of just make their way to the capital, or make their way through the Clover Kingdom, the same way how Yami did, except now he has William with him. They both fight extremely well together, so if anything, it would be a lot easier, actually. And I believe when it got to the Shadow Palace part, I don't think that William would accompany Yami into the Shadow Palace. I believe he would want to stay behind, just because he has magic better suited to stay behind and deal with the invasion. William would also want to take responsibility for basically his entire squad turning into elves. Another big point in this exact scenario is Patri. I believe Patri in the Shadow Palace would be somewhat wounded still from his fight with the Wizard King, since the damage isn't so easily healed as we've seen when he had his first encounter with the Wizard King back when Julius saved Asta. His arm was messed up for a while, so that makes me believe that you can't heal the damage that Julius does really fast. So I believe that when him and Raya were together, when the Word Devil finally appeared, he would be more injured, and this makes you think that wouldn't save him. I don't know if you guys remember when the Word Devil first appeared, Patri attacked him and then the Word Devil shot his spell back at him. Now, I don't think that attack would kill Patri, just because the Word Devil wouldn't be trying to kill Patri since he wants his grimoire. So like I said, from there, I do think Patri would get super messed up by his own spell and fall into despair. All that stuff would happen the exact same. Nozel would still happen to come down and defeat Dark Elf Patri and all that. However, right here, either Nozel would actually kill him, just because no one would be trying to stop him, because it isn't William in there. Wouldn't think that it's William. I think Nozel would probably kill him, or Asta could use his main character talkingness to save him for whatever reason. Shonen protagonists seem to save people, and then from there the story would go the exact same, with Lich and Lumiere still having to come out, still getting the Sword of Zephyr, Asta still getting blacked by the story will go the exact same as far as that is concerned. And then for my second scenario, like I said, Julius and Patri fight. However, in this scenario, Julius would kill Patri, and then the devil's plan would be completely foiled. Because at that point, because Julius would have killed Patri, and then Mereoleona would have killed Raya because he wouldn't have got his awakening during his fight with Mereoleona. And then from there, the Clover Kingdom, as of right now, like if you think about where it is in the anime or even in the manga, they would have been in a much better spot. Like, because right now the Clover Kingdom is destroyed, it's all that. But as a kingdom, if this scenario would have happened, they'd be in a better spot because their capital wouldn't be destroyed, no one would have betrayed anybody, the Ivanite son would have been snuffed out, and Julius wouldn't be a child. The only downside from this is that the main cast didn't grow from the experience. Like, we would have never got Sword of Zephyr, we would have never got Black Divider, we never would have got Valkyrie dressed, we would have never got Yami's Mana Zone. Like, there's so many different things that we wouldn't have got had this all not happened. So like I said, Clover Kingdom would have been in a better spot, but main cast would have been a lot weaker because of it. Now, in this third scenario that I thought of, this one's kind of weird. Well, not weird, but kind of out there. In this scenario, during the Patri and Julius fight, Patri loses, but the Word Devil uses a random unnamed character to still get the stones off of Julius. Because if you recall back in the flashback with Lumiere and the elves, the Word Devil did possess a random person to move around in and be able to like interact with people. Like, he possessed, I think it was like a prime minister or some kind of higher up figure he used to get close to Lumiere to bind him. I believe he would do something similar to deliver the stones to the elves without Patri. But the only thing with that is, even if he does use something like that to deliver the stones without Patri, he still doesn't have access to a 4-leaf Clover Grimoire to make it into that 5-leaf Clover Grimoire. So, like, let's say he gets the stones and the reincarnation happens anyway. The reincarnation goes much different just because Julius is there, so he can handle a lot of people all at once. William's there, so he can also help out a lot. I believe that the Wizard King would stay behind in the Clover Kingdom because it is his sole duty to protect the capital and the citizens. So I believe he would stay behind and not go into the Shadow Palace, whereas William and the other captains would. I believe that the Word Devil would more than likely take control of some random elf's body in there, but I believe he would be much weaker since he doesn't have access to his grimoire. I do think that the people in there would still need the help of Lich and Lumiere to defeat him, which of course would still happen just because Julius and William being around doesn't really change Nero going back to awaken Lumiere to get there, and then them waking up Lich, who was already in there. None of that really changes. Like, nothing of that really changes from Julius or William being around or Patri being already defeated. Lich might be a little bit sad once he realizes that Patri died for this, but aside from that, I believe that Lumiere and Lich probably just clapped the Word Devil. It didn't really become a big issue until he started flooding the world, or flooding the palace with otherworldly magic. But then at the same time, the Word Devil might fight more seriously, but I have no reason to believe that the fight would go as far as it did without him having a grimoire and him being much weaker. Of course, this would mean that we would get no Sword of Zephyr or no Black Divider, but then all in all, with him being defeated, I believe the Clover Kingdom would probably also have been in a better spot as a whole, just because it was Julius who stayed behind while the captains were in there. So Julius probably limited the damage a lot since the time magic is really powerful. So overall, as you can see through these 3 different things, it's really interesting when you think about it, how much of the story could be the exact same, or how much of the story would be completely different if William and Patri were separated. And that is my complete theory on that. Now, if you guys have any other cool what if Black Clover scenarios that you guys want me to talk about, let me know in the comments, because I want to start this little subsection on my channel of what if Black Clover scenario. So let me know if you guys enjoyed this or not. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think I missed anything, or anything you guys want to add to this scenario that you think would have happened or would not have happened, or would have made an impact or would not have made an impact. So like and sub if you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in my next video.